Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Reference Recording. And today we're talking about Richard Strauss's Also Sprach Zarathustra, aka 2001 Space Odyssey, at least as far as regards the opening. Now, Also Sprach Zarathustra is a tricky work to perform. It really is. It lasts about 35 minutes, continuous play. And continuous play, it's in multiple sections. It ends very, very quietly and mysteriously in two separate keys at the same time, which is incredibly unsatisfying. And the best part is the opening 2 minutes, the sunrise, the part that was in 2001 Space Odyssey. After that, well, you got to sit through the rest of it. So that means it requires a certain amount of conductorial and interpretive legerdemain, sleight of hand, to actually carry the thing off in a successful way. And the reference recording, hands down, has been, well, there were a couple, actually. It's always a couple, right? You might say it's Fritz Reiner and the Chicago Symphony, the one that's coupled with Ein Heldenleben, whereas Ein Heldenleben is the reference. We'll talk about that on another video for sure. But Reiner did it twice, of course. The second time was better than the first, better sonically and whatnot. It's an amazing performance, but that's not the one. The reference recording has always been this one. Herbert von Karajan and the Berlin Philharmonic. Now, this one was recorded in 1974. So there you go. And it's magnificent. Oh my God, it sounds great. It's played great. It's amazingly interpreted. Karajan was a great Strauss conductor. The music was made for his sumptuous legato and the emphasis always on the strings and the complexity of all the parts, kind of sort of useless counterpoint always going on in Strauss's music. The al fresco method, the lack of emphasis on like percussion instruments as like Mahler did and things like that. And the wind section. Strauss is just luscious. And this is a very luscious piece. Oh my goodness, it is. So Karajan recorded it like a zillion times. And the recording that made the piece famous was this one. It was this one with the Vienna Phil on Decca. That was the one in the movie with like no organ. Vienna had like a lousy organ or no organ at that time. They dubbed it in later. They did something, I don't know. It was always sounded a little off key when the organ came in. And to the extent it's there at all. But then he remade it here, probably with another dubbed-in organ, but it doesn't matter. It sounds glorious, absolutely glorious. This is one of Karajan's great Strauss recordings. It lasts, 35 minutes and 5 seconds. His digital remake, wasn't nearly as good, and he fiddled around with the orchestration, with the scoring of the opening. Again, there was like an extra triangle roll or something. I don't know what he did. It sounded very glary and harsh. Ugly early digital sonics. They've diddled them again since Karajan died because he was doing his own mixing, which was a terrible mistake. But this is the great one. And it is and has been the reference ever since it came out in 1974. Now, Karajan's way with this, and this is what I really want to talk about, is very, very interesting. Very interesting. And in order to do that, I've got to show you a how it's done moment. I can add this to the how it's done videos as well, because if you look at the opening page of Score, and here it is, you will see some amazing things. The opening page of this piece is just fascinating. It really is. It's really cool. One of the coolest things about it is that the timpani parts are actually in triplets. You don't hear triplets. You hear bom, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. But the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's actually the rhythm. So it's 1, 2, dum, 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 dum. It's a nifty thing. The reason it's so nifty is that it messes with your sense of the rhythm. So that wonderful pounding timpani interlude is not in a rigid sort of march type tempo with the previous things that are happening there. And it makes the whole piece sound fluid and more buoyant than it would otherwise. It's really kind of cool. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the bum bum, that thing. Now, if you look at the score, you will see that Strauss is writing it as a 16th note for the whole orchestra. And even if you can't read music, you can see it. You see where like all those people, all those lines have something to do. And there's a little tiny note, a little note with two little tails, two little squiggly things at the end of it. So that's a 16th note before the big note. on the other side of the bar line. So it's a 16th note. Now, most performances don't play that strictly in tempo, or it seems to me that they don't, or it seems to me that Karajan did something a little different, because there's an accent on that note. You see the thing that looks like a sideways caret or a sideways letter V? That's an accent. So that means you give it a little bit of a jolt. And that's very hard to do when it's such a short note. And either Karajan speeds up or everyone else slows down. It could be one or the other. It depends on what the general opening tempo is. It says in the score, sehr breit, very broad. And so you've got wah, 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 right? And then Karajan goes, da-dum, like this. And boy, that's exciting. That's the way I learned it, because I saw 2001 Space Odyssey. But then I heard all these other people do it. And they go, jump, bum. I said, is that right? What did Strauss write? And so I tried to count it. Oh, it's hard to do. It's hard to do because it's a 16th note, even if you're in a standard 4/4 tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da-dum! Like that. And so if you're counting it out, and you count it out, you have half notes. Da, da. So it's in quarter notes. So you've got quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. All right? So that's 4 quarter notes. Then you divide it, you subdivide, because if you're playing in the orchestra, you have to be counting 16th notes in that tempo. So you do it in 8th notes. So it's in 8th notes. So you're doing, let's see what we're doing. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, right. So then you have to do it in 16th notes. You have to subdivide even more. So there are 8 notes to each of those half notes for the trumpets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ta-da! Like that. Just that last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ta-dum! Like that. And it's really kind of cool the way Karajan does it. I think he's really making sure at his tempo that they play a real, genuine 16th note. Often with the accent, if you want to push it, it's always going to be longer. It has to be, because you don't hear the accent unless you have time to hear it attack, and it has to last a certain length. So it's dum bum, and people are making like a little retard there. I don't know. All I can tell you is Karajan's opening sounds like nobody else's. And it became the standard, the reference for 2001 Space Odyssey. Yes. And so there it is. The reference recording, Karajan, Berlin Philharmonic, 1974, analog, not digital. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.